first question is, how do you balance presenting a show like this to both newcomers and diehard fans of books?
How do you balance both? Okay. Well, I think what's great about Elfstones, and I think it's why Terry decided to start there, is because it's a story. When you come into it, it feels complete, beginning, middle, and end. So I think if you come into this world as a fan from the books, you'll see things that you had always read about in the Four Lands, characters that that you've seen. But I think if you come into it as a new viewer, you can completely start into it without any problems. You're not going to be confused because Terry writes his books generationally. So if you started with Sword, that's great, and you'd have more backstory. But if you start with Elfstones, it doesn't. And I think that's one of the reasons his books have been able to sell so many copies and last so long, because you can drop into that world at different points, because he sort of writes in trilogies. It's almost like the books are generational the way Star Wars is.
Also, it's like it's really about people. It's about emotion and humanity and a human quest. It's not really about. It doesn't go into like epic mythology that's convoluted. It's really about.
Yeah. It's our world 2,000 years in the future. There's 4 races. And then you learn the story of the Elkries, which you learn right up front. So,
can you talk a bit about the location? I'm New Zealander, so I like to.
Oh, thank you.
What did New Zealand have to offer? Why was it a good place?
New Zealand New Zealand had a lot to offer. One, on a practical level, we knew we were going to shoot in January, and so it was New Zealand summer, so that really helped.
Yes.
Another reason, Vancouver, which is another place we thought about shooting, is overshot. We shot there for 10 years. It feels like the epic landscapes of New Zealand perfectly fit this show.
Yeah.
And the other thing it has, which is unique and made it sort of a no-brainer, is the idea that the legacy of Hercules and Xena, Lord of the Rings, Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe, and The Hobbit have given New Zealand and the film craftspeople in New Zealand a second to none. So the level of detail, props, set, costumes is unbelievable and is unique, and I think that makes this show incredibly special and gives it a feature quality patina, which you've never seen a show like this ever.
Yeah.
In terms of what it is, in terms of the production design and things like that. Just because you have that level of craftsmanship, which has been homegrown in New Zealand. So thank you, Peter Jackson.
Yes. Well, no, I was actually thank you, Hercules and Xena.
Yeah.
Because as Peter Jackson said, he could have never made Lord of the Rings if it hadn't been for Hercules and Xena. Well, that was everybody's film school.
Because the production design of Hercules and Xena
won an Oscar
for Lord of the Rings. So it's like people mock Hercules and Xena, but actually there were, without those shows, there would be no Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What are the capabilities? How have they changed since Smaller London? I know it's not that many years since
right.
Smaller London, but enough where I wonder if you look back at it, it's like, has the technology changed?
It's changed night and day. Yeah. That said, we really did not want to do a fully CG environments. We wanted to build practical sets, find practical locations, and really, we looked back to Star Wars actually as sort of our touchstone. This is more in common with Star Wars than it does Lord of the Rings in terms of because it's fantasy, but it's also science fiction. So everything has to have a slight futuristic edge. So the Elven Palace looks like a palace, but it has a futuristic edge. There's like crystal technology, so it's really looking for ways to distinguish the look and the visualization of the show and just production design, that it felt different and original. As really, our quest as creators was to find an original vision for the show, and that was what we set out to do, and I think we've achieved that in terms of the creature design, the production design, the wardrobe, all those props, all those elements, so it doesn't feel like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings, it feels like it's uniquely Shannara.
How's the collaboration with the author been? It's to have the author.
It's been awesome. Alec has been
No, it's been great.
Active in the show. It's not always the case.
No, it's been great. He was a fan of Smallville, and so when we sort of came to the project and we're going to sign on, we spoke with him, and he said, look, a book's a book and a TV show is a TV show. They're different mediums, different, so you can't be slavish to the book. You have to make changes to fit the medium, and it has to be its own thing. His thing is, I'll always have the book. The TV show now has to be its own thing, and he's been involved. He's came down to New Zealand. He read all the scripts. We sort of laid out what we were going to do with the season even before we went out and pitched it to various networks and stuff.
And obviously, we couldn't do everything in the book because he has these huge battles, and we're a TV show, and we want to focus really on the characters. That's what TV shows live and breathe on characters. So for us, it was all about what's the emotional journey of these people as people going through this epic quest, and he was completely on board with that and the changes we'd made to make it a TV show rather than a sprawling 400 page book. So it's been great. It's been a great collaboration, and he's been entrusted us with this property which is beloved and has an incredibly loyal fan base, and I think we have Terry's blessing, and for us we're incredibly proud of the show, and I think it's going to surprise and thrill many people.
Were you guys fans of the books, and if so, were there any elements that you said, we have to have this because I personally love it so much?
Well, actually we'd known Terry's work, but neither of us had read any of his books until we were given the Elfstones. We both actually happened to be on spring break, so it was one of those things we both read the book simultaneously, and it was like we instantly saw this as a series. And the ending, I won't spoil the ending, but it's an amazing ending. It's like, okay, this is a perfect season of television, and sort of rarely do we both get in sync on something like this, and we felt the same way when we were sort of looking at Smallville. It felt like this is a really great, and there's nothing like it on television. So that's also key as showrunners and creators. How do you find something that's very unique and isn't being done right now? So yeah, we felt very good about it.